Patricia Teffenhart, Executive Director, New Jersey Coalition Against Sexual Assault. Good to see you, Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're doing this program in the spring of 2018, the Me Too movement. Where are we, and what is the opportunity before us?
That's a great question. And in fact, we ask ourselves what's the opportunity here pretty much regularly in our organization. Anytime high-profile people are talking about an issue that's so hard to understand or has lacked nuance throughout history, it's good. It amplifies the voice of people who have historically either not been heard or haven't felt as if they had a voice.
The issue is, or is it multiple issues?
It is the issue of sexual violence, which
Sexual violence?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Which runs a large spectrum, everything from sexual harassment to actual sexual assault and rape. And that's what the Me Too movement is doing, actually. It's giving voice to actions and behaviors all along the spectrum, as opposed to what's normally discussed as, just sexual assault and rape. All of these actions have impact for people.
How does it translate, potentially, into real action, policy action, action in the workplace, changes in behavior, real change? How does it translate?
You can see it happening already. I mean,
you see it?
Yes.
What do you see?
The New Jersey State House yesterday, there were multiple committees that had bills relevant to this issue happening concurrently. I could only attend one committee at a time, so having to have other people submit slips in support or not in support of certain pieces of legislation that was happening.
To do what kinds of things?
Yeah, so we were actually in committee yesterday on behalf of the Campus Sexual Assault Task Force. And
the Campus Sexual Assault Task Force, which is?
We created, legislatively created, Sexual Assault Task Force under the previous administration that brought together a cohort of diverse professionals to talk about this issue to help inform policy direction. With new session, with new policy makers, the Assembly Higher Education Committee invited us to come in and brief the new committee members on our report and our findings. So campus sexual assault is something people have been talking about for a long time. I think now what people are starting to understand is it's not just campus sexual assault that needs our attention. What are we doing to prevent sexual assaults from happening before college and addressing it after college? It's a continuum.
You know, I've often wondered about this. The role of men. The role of men who want to do the right thing. What is the right thing? Other than not acting in absurd and offensive and dangerous ways. What is the role for the rest of, quote unquote, us?
I think the role for men is the same as the role for women, honestly. We all have the same responsibility to be good citizens.
But we don't, men, what I'm trying to get at it is one of the things that struck me is that for men who know of other men, my sense is, I think we have some responsibility that we often, I'll speak for myself, I haven't spoken up to the degree that I should. And so my question is, what advice do you have for us?
So these are learned behaviors. Men aren't inherently sexual predators or inherently more dangerous. No, these are sort of learned conditions that allow people to get away with things.
Hold on, there are some men who are sexual predators.
Yes.
That's not the norm. I'm understanding what you're saying,
yeah.
But I just want to make sure you're differentiating between those who just talk a certain way, act a certain way, are offensive in the workplace, and others who are true sexual predators.
Well, one of the problems is that what we get into in these kinds of conversations is pinpointing people in my movement as men haters and portraying all men as being
Not saying
evil.
that at all.
Okay, so I'm very conscious of that because it's not the case. In fact, our assistant director is an incredible feminist man. There are men that work in this movement as allies and leaders and people who are good at stepping forward and stepping back. The behaviors that allow bad men to continue to behave in harmful ways are behaviors that have been embraced by society. These connotations of toxic masculinity, right? That you have to be.
What does that mean?
Like the alpha male, that you have to be uberly aggressive, that you have to dominate the conversation, dominate the physical space. Those are things that our society has embraced as being good for men. And if you think about how some of those similar conversations might happen for powerful women, women are perceived as overly aggressive, use a lot of bad words to associate with women that have those types of character traits.
Same behaviors as a guy.
Yep.
Different characteristics, different definition or different characterization.
Yeah.
So when Donald Trump says during the presidential campaign, seems like ancient history, right? So when Donald Trump says on that bus with Billy Bush what he said about women, you could just grab them by, and we don't say this on public television, but everyone knows what he said. And I like it. You just do it. What was that moment for you and those around you? He's the President of the United States.
Not surprising, honestly. Lots of powerful people get away with using that type of language. And
quote unquote locker room talk on the part of some around Trump, including the president, you say?
I say it's not surprising, which is also probably kind of sad.
I've never heard that in a locker room, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, and my son is 9, and I would be horrified if I ever heard him using words like that or allowing his friends to use words like that.
Same with our sons.
So I think that's sort of the crux of it. At somewhere in the life cycle of human development, we've allowed men, and you saw it in the media.
Boys to men.
Yes. You saw it in the media. You saw how many people were dismissive of it, like, oh, well, boys will be boys, men will be men. He dismissed it and said this is locker room talk. Yet most of us are horrified by that use of language. And to your original question about what do you do about that, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I have a lot of compassion for men who want to do something and don't know what to do, because those are also skills that haven't been taught. I think for an individual like you that has incredible influence and access to people who are powerful and influential, we would want you to call them out if you're in a room where they were to say something like that.
Should we do it publicly as well?
Yes, absolutely. If someone were sitting in this seat and they were to perpetuate harmful gender norms or to make a dismissive comment about a woman on the staff or a woman that you mutually know, to say, like, that's not cool, I don't appreciate that, you won't talk about women like that in my company, that's really strong. And that's where power and influence can be helpful for the movement.
You know, you talk about power and influence. You were at the State of the Union address with United States Senator Robert Menendez. Obviously, that was a great honor for you.
Yes.
What did it say that you were there with him in that moment?
I have to say that I am really cognizant of how many social justice issues impact the 9 million citizens of the state of New Jersey. And it was an honor to be the one person chosen to attend with United States Senator Bob Menendez and talk about this movement and this moment and the incredible work that's being done across New Jersey by our county-based rape crisis centers. He could have picked a number of really well-deserving causes and individuals, and the fact that he picked us also says a lot about where we are right now in this moment in time.
Patricia, we greatly appreciate the work you and your colleagues do every day on behalf of women for whom too long they have been victimized, and often not believed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is State of Affairs. We'll be right back right after this.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Veris NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by TD Bank, the New Jersey Education Association, Georgian Court University, Choose New Jersey, New Jersey Sharing Network, Verizon, and by NJ Best. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, all business, all New Jersey, and by Insider NJ.